Hey, welcome back. This is Kimile, and you are listening to Heal with Kimile podcast. Today, I want to talk about a phenomenon that I call Black widows. And Black widow women are women who are dangerous, they're predatory, and they are seeking men to destroy them. Have you ever experienced a Black widow yourself? Have you found yourself feeling doubt about what you are, who you are after a relationship? Some men find me in their worst state. They're broken. They are doubting themselves. They don't know who they are anymore. They say, I don't feel like myself anymore. And they're recovering from some sort of relationship that I would say they were with a Black widow. How do you know? How do you choose a woman that isn't going to ruin you? And look, there's good women out there that these Black widows make us all look bad, because there's so many clients I've got that are with good men. They love their men, even parents of good sons. They love their boys, but these men and boys are just broken. They got broken by a relationship and they haven't fully recovered. They're not the same person. So these type of women, these type of relationships that men will find themselves in, if they're starting to become worse, if they're doubting themselves, if they aren't healthy, it's like, look at you before that relationship, look at you after that relationship. Are you the same man? And a lot of times these Black widow people, women, we're going to talk about women today. There's men too that are like this. But these Black widows are on the take. And usually they've got some sort of mommy wound, daddy wound. They've got a wound, and whoever they're with is going to get it. Like they're going to be taking that out on this new person that they're with. But when you've got someone you love and they've been ruined by a Black widow, how do you deal with that? How do you survive that? It's like that person that loves this Black widow is just roller coastering. They're up, they're down, they're sick, they're healthy, they have money, they don't. It's like they're constantly in chaos. Here's some telltale signs you can listen for when you're with people that are dealing with difficult relationships like Black widows. If you're with a Black widow, you really aren't on your A game. You're going to look manic depressive because you're high and you're low. Your moods are going to shift, and you don't trust yourself anymore. I watched someone I love very much, love to pieces, would have died for this person. I watched him go through 3 Black widows. And the first one was this helpless, she's the youngest in the family. She had some surgeries when she was little, had some insecurities, but she was a drinker. And she would drink to drunk. She wasn't just drinking casually. She would drink to get drunk. And he'd leave her at the bars because he couldn't stay out till 3 a.m. He had to work the next day. But she really, really couldn't control her alcohol. And she was so sweet, though, and she would cry and don't leave me. But she moved on in. She moved in. It's kind of like she just took liberties. He wasn't ready for all of the things she was pushing on him, but he didn't want to hurt her. He wanted to protect her. He felt so sorry for her. She'd had all these things, and her dad was in jail, and he got sucked in because he felt so sorry for this girl. And then she got violent. She actually hit his mother. She got his little sister drunk and left her at a bar with some pretty unsavory characters. Could have got her hurt, raped or worse. So she had nothing to do with the women in this kid's life, this young man. And she was doing everything she could to alienate him from his own mom and his sister. They were competition. They were a threat because they loved him and they were going to want the best for him. And she was just out to really, really corner him. He got isolated. It was on her terms. And if she didn't get what she wanted, if she couldn't go out and have a drink every night or drink every day with his money, she would throw a fit. She'd cry. She'd just be a baby, literally. Well, how he got out of it, this poor mama, this woman actually hit his mother. And he was right there. He saw it. He didn't accept it. He jumped up and, no, you don't do that. The mom just got out of that. The mom just smartly just kind of walked away. But it disturbed him. And he didn't know how to handle her. It's interesting because these Black widow type women, you can't fight with them. Women can fight with them. Women can kind of call them out. Women can see it. But men have a hard time fighting these kind of women because they are using your strength against you. You have to feel sorry for me. I'm crying now. I think this Black widow dating this young guy, she said, I'm crying. What are you doing? And he said, am I supposed to quit talking then? This is, everybody else does. Like, she would use tears as a way to deflect any attention or heat off of her. And so if she started crying, that was his cue to stop interrogating or stop asking questions or shut up, basically. You ever met anybody like that where they can water work at any moment as a manipulative tactic to get you off their scent, to back you up, to make you not call them on their crap? Well, this is this girl. And literally, she was just out for herself and didn't want him to have anything to do with anybody in his past, his family, etc. She didn't care. She was in it for herself. Very selfish, very spoiled. And then she would water work and throw fits, and he was supposed to save her. Young men, I got a client like this in another town, and, he's been dating this girl for 18 months. They met in high school. And in the beginning, when these women are a little emotional, and I'm not sure she's a black widow, but she's immature, these immature girls, right? But they're just so emotional. And these young guys are so empathetic, and they care and they listen until they hit burnout. You can only therapy somebody so long with the same dynamic, the same histrionic behavior, and they're not growing. They're just, you're supposed to be there for me constantly. That's a little girl, right? That's someone who's just here to be a child. And you could only do that for so long before you get burned out. Well, that's what happened to this young man that I adored. He actually asked me to help him break up with her. They were engaged. They were getting married within a month. I'm like, oh my gosh, you might have wanted to think about this a little earlier. This is going to have a ripple effect. Other people are counting on to spend some money. He didn't get the ring back. That was probably 10 grand he lost, right? She kept all that. But he asked me to help him break up with her. So I did. I went over when he did it. I was in the apartment when he broke up with her. And oh, wow, the emotions and loud and tears and hysterical. And then her mom's there and her aunts are there. And it's like a full house started showing up. And I'm like, we don't want this. And so it was really, really a pressure cooker time for him. And I think it took a week. Like literally she kept coming over and she lived there. So he asked her to move out, go back to her mom's. She couldn't do it. She couldn't pack. And then she kept begging him and begging him and begging him, please, please, please don't leave me. Don't break up with me. And he had a really hard time holding to it. He had the ring at one time and he should have kept that thing, but he gave it to her because she was crying. And this is someone who really just wanted him to live for her and her pleasures. And if he would have married her, oh my gosh, he would have been her daddy. And again, she didn't have a dad. He was in jail. Oh, and her mother, who was a counselor, actually, hated the dad and alienated him from the entire family. I think he got on pills out of depression and things like this. He had a depressive disorder. But regardless, the kids never visited him. They didn't see anybody. I didn't have 5 children. She was the 5th child. She judged him harshly and just thought he was a monster. So I think this girl was pretty damaged by the mom, frankly. I think dad was, absent, not strong enough to handle the mother. But I think her mom's a black widow. And just really, really was manipulative with the daughter and with this young man that I loved. I still love. But they break up. And it takes a long time to kind of get her gone. And then her stuff, and then she has 10 people coming over to help her pack, and she's stopping and falling apart, falling on the floor, hysterically crying, grieving, and just, again, couldn't get her together. It took like 10 hours to get everything done. The police were there. It was drama, drama, drama. So dodged one bullet. Okay, good. Dodged that bullet. Good looking guy. Love him dearly. We should call him Taylor. We're going to call him Taylor. So Taylor then decides he's going to take an evening job. And he becomes a bouncer at a bar. Now, he's really smart, engineer brain, working on some sort of mechanical engineering thing, making good money, but he wanted a little extra cash for the holidays, so he starts working at this bar. And he meets this girl who's a stripper, dancer, whatever. She really was a stripper. So he starts dating her, and she's got a baby with another guy. Baby's 2 or 3. So again, he feels sorry for her. And in the beginning, of course, she's just little and petite and sexy, and the seduction begins. But here's another woman that doesn't want anybody around Taylor. Like Taylor cannot have friends, can't have his mother, can't have his sister. Like truly starts the Black Widow experience all over again. And he, for whatever reason, continues to go into this. So kind of a rebound as well. He went into this way too quickly. So he starts dating her. Well, she moves herself in. And he doesn't stop her. He lets her move in. And then he's paying her bills, taking care of the kid that's not his. falls in love with that little boy. Of course, who wouldn't? He's a cute little baby. So he's now in this and starts planning a wedding. They get engaged. They're supposed to get married. Well, all this drama, she tells him she's gone to the doctor and she's got cervical cancer. So, oh my gosh, no. And this is, again, a month before the wedding. So she's got this cancer. And his family steps in and tries to help her. Well, we've got doctors, we've got people, we know people, we can, get you to the front of the line if we had to, things like this. So his family just jumped in and tried to save, and she wouldn't return phone calls, wouldn't communicate. I think his mother called her father, and the father said to her, well, maybe she has cancer. And she was like, what are you talking about, maybe? He said, maybe, but, last year she needed a kidney. What? You kidding me? So this is someone who is compulsively lying about things like that, but lying in general. I think every human being lies. But when you are starting a marriage out and you're telling these, just outrageous lies, what is that a distraction from? What is she avoiding? What is she getting out of saying she has cancer? And this young man, Taylor, was carrying her. Like, he would pick her up and carry her around places just because she couldn't walk. And he would drop her off at a hospital and then, come back and pick her up. He never went into the doctors with her. So it's like, maybe this woman's lying to you, Taylor. Maybe you're getting lied to. And then all the other things, And she worked nights, right? She's a stripper. So there's just so many things that weren't lining up for a marriage. And I really think she was just like, I got a really good thing. He's a really good guy and he's really generous and he's giving all the time. And I don't want to blow this. And so she just kept emotionally hooking him. And you can obviously tell by now in my stories about him, he was a sweetheart. He was sucked into emotional drama. He believed these poor little damsels in distress. He was trying to be the hero and be the savior. And he had a lot of love to give, big guy, emotional, connected. Really, really wanted to make a difference in someone's life and wanted to be a dad. And that's why he really bonded with this little boy, this lady's little boy. So another, oh my God, moment of heartbreak if it ends. Well, this one lasted, I want to say, a couple of years. And he was, again, doing all the things, burning himself out for her. And they were finally getting to the altar. They were going to get married. And no marriage certificate. They didn't go and do, the legitimate thing, which is getting a marriage certificate. So they never really got married. They had a wedding with, minister and everything kind of got said and promises made, rings exchanged. But they never fully got married because it wasn't legitimate. So silver lining, there wasn't just a divorce. But it was just fascinating to watch him just go through all of these ups and downs. And he just couldn't see through her deception. And he was on his own. I actually think one point this woman said to him, if you ever talk to your mother or your sister ever again, we're done, we're through. Who does that? Who says to a guy, if you ever talk to your mom again, we're through? And he did, he believed her. He was so obsessed, so addicted, I'm going to call it addiction, with her, and just the roller coaster, just the drama. And finally, he had a gutful. Finally, he realized, I'm getting played here. Again, there wasn't anything to get divorced from. He left her and he came home and he went to his mom's house. Yep, homecoming, tearful, hugs. Okay, wow, what did you learn? Just that moment of reality, truth. And Mom felt betrayed. Mom was wounded. Another woman that you're picking over her family. You got to leave. Wait, is that love? If you got to leave your family behind, is that because you're getting hoodwinked and someone might tell you? That to me is what that says, right? Is somebody's really getting slimed here. They're getting taken advantage of. And if you're around people that love and respect you, they'll tell you that that's going on. So there's two women here that literally kind of isolated him, black widowed him. So then you think, oh, he's going to learn. He's going to get it, right? Oh, and the drugs, by the way, the partying. Okay, of course, she's a stripper. So he tried things he'd never tried before. There's alcohol abuse, drug abuse. And he figured out she was a cocaine addict, of course. So again, he had nothing left to sell. He sold his vehicles, sold his guns, sold everything that he could sell for her habit, I'm sure. And he was living with her parents in the basement, like not a great situation. It's like, what? I look at this kid before her and after her, completely broken after her. So when he had nothing left to offer, he has no use for her. He can't keep up with her habits. She's replaced him with a drug dealer. No shit, with a drug dealer. So perfect perfect for her. She's got a constant supply. And I think now she's got 3 kids, all by different dads. This is a troubled girl, very troubled girl. But Taylor doesn't deserve that. He didn't grow up with these kind of things, I'll tell you something. I find this with men that get caught up with black widows. They did have a good mom. They don't know what crazy is. And so they genuinely believe, when women cry, when they're upset about something, oh, poor thing. So they got a blind spot for that. So you'd think that Taylor had figured it out on Black Widow number 2. Nope. He's back with his family, living with his sister, kind of starting to get his life back in order. And he meets a married woman. I know. This might be the worst. I'm going to tell you, it might be the worst. Because this is somebody who is legitimately probably going through something. I'll give you that. She's unhappily married, 6 children, can't afford to get divorced. And Taylor didn't have a lot of money to give her. So she's in an open relationship, she says. They don't love each other, but they have to be together for the children. They're keeping things together for the kids. So he's in the basement. She's upstairs. They're just coexisting until these 6 children are raised. So he starts hanging out with her. She's hanging out at the sister's house in the condo. So she's just there, and they start partying together, having sex. This is now his new fling. And this woman is, again, she's wimpy in a way, kind of sad, feels down on herself, doesn't have a lot of confidence, not a lot of self-esteem. So Taylor feels sorry for her. And he picks up with her, and he ends up getting paralyzed. Early on in the relationship, I think it was within 6 months, he had some sort of injury, low back injury, woke up, could not feel his legs, shooting pains down his legs. It's like the nerves were dying, literally. He had some sort of birth defect that had kicked in, and he was driving vehicles, and so he was sitting a lot. Low back problem blocked all the blood flow, and all his nerves had died. So he's pretty much paralyzed. Without immediate surgery, he would have never walked again. So he's gone to the ER. They finally sorted out 8 hours into this ordeal. They've got a surgeon at the University of Utah. And I think University of Utah is an incredible facility. The surgeon, it was like a Saturday, 3 a.m, found a surgeon, got him out of bed. He went in and saved Taylor from never walking again. And he took about 6 months to 9 months after that surgery. He had to stay in rehab facilities, learn how to walk again, get his body back. So he's with this mother of 6, right? Call it a trauma bond, right? So she's there for him, again, more than the family. He's got her. He doesn't need the family. But this has been such a rocky roller coaster of a life for this kid with relationships. But this mother of 6 is now his new mommy, is how I would classify her. Another Black Widow energy, because again, her husband's neutered. He's in the basement. She didn't love him. He's a monster, or they just don't love each other anymore. And he's critical. All these things. She's not finished with him. She's not done with him. And she's got him right where she wants him, paying the bills, taking care of the kids with her in the basement. And then she latches on to Taylor, who again is probably 10 to 15 years her junior, and really attractive, good looking, and he's fighting her battles. This is someone who gets all the people around her to feel sorry for her and fight her battles. Yet she's the one, betraying the family. And she moves Taylor in. And he has just had surgery. Instead of him going to his family, and learning how to walk again there and being supported like that, he goes with another Black Widow and stays with her. And this has gone on for, I think, a couple of years. And lo and behold, they're doing drugs together. I think the mother bought him a car. Well, it smells like rancid whatever, because they don't take care of it. So that was a mistake to give him a vehicle. He's not working. He was disabled. He'll never wrestle or run again like he used to. But he's, again, now walking. But this relationship, I'm sure, has done damage to the 6 children and the husband in the basement, because he took priority in her world. And he's in, the main part of their home. I think he's the one that signed the lease, and that's why they even got the house they have. So again, she needed him, and so did the husband, frankly. But regardless, not a good situation for Taylor. He doesn't need to be with a married woman of 6 children. And they are partying together. They are each other's escape. He needed escape. He hated his body, he hated his life. So he's taking painkillers because he had to have those through the surgeries and the rehab. And then it turns into smoking pot. And then it turns into meth. Well, he gets a DUI. And then another DUI. And then another DUI. So he's now gone with 3 women that progressively has taken his money, his health, his looks, like every part of his soul, his power. There's no future in this third relationship. There's no potential of children for him. There's no way he can get married to her because she's already married. So he's the one that gets caught on all these things. She's not got arrested, just him. He's the only one paying the price and the consequences for their drug-addicted actions. And then when she's asked about it, oh, no, she didn't do any of that. None of that. I told her to make good choices. Yeah, she's smoking meth right there with him in the car, okay? So the mother, again, after the DUI, they impound her car. She has to go get her car out of impound, spend $500 at the DMV for the release letter, and go pick it up, tow truck. So that's an expensive lesson. She kept the car. She kept it. She's got it back. She's selling it. But now, because of the court activity, he's now having to face jail time or rehab. Well, smartly, he chose rehab. So right now, Taylor is hopefully detoxing, not just from partying. I think he's got an addiction or really a blind spot for Black widow women. So he's now detoxing from the third Black widow. And I think he was sentenced to a year in this rehab facility. So he can't contact her. He's not allowed to contact people from his past. He's in this rehab program where they keep you away from anybody, the old environment, right? You don't get better if the environment doesn't change. So the environment is decisive. So he's now in rehab. We pray that he sorts this out and doesn't come out of rehab thinking he's just going to go back to, this relationship. I'm sure she's still waiting for him and would take it back in a heartbeat. Most people that have these enablers, they're enabling each other, they're thick as thieves. They'll go back together all the time. But now we're really praying for Taylor to really, really sort out his relationship issues, because his relationship issues have led to his demise, and his sobriety is critical for his well-being. So it's just fascinating to look at men that get caught up with these kind of women and truly what it does to your soul. He does not know himself right now. And he's in the perfect place to start figuring out who he really is and why he's even alive, because it isn't just to service these kind of women. Like, I really have a keen understanding of this kind of dynamic that starts happening with men, where they start doubting themselves and they put that woman before them. And this is one of my favorite things to work through with people. I'm good at it. And I do think that men that work with me do get better when they can finally divorce those relationships, metaphorically or literally, and they can start putting themselves first again. They start feeling like themselves again. It's like they're coming up for air. They've been underwater for a while. And we really are influenced by people that we associate with daily, routinely. And if you've got anybody that you know that's going through this, how do you know? Well, they're isolated and they can't talk to you or hang out with you anymore, or they just kind of fade out of your life because he's fighting with her, or there's a jealousy issue or whatever. If you've got somebody who is really getting bamboozled by what I call Black widows, it's critical you try and help them. If you don't look, sometimes you just can't. They just got to hit bottom. But it's like you're watching them get high on drugs because they're so sucked into these people. It's so sad. What takes out powerful men all the time? It's a diabolical woman. You could be the most powerful man on earth. I think there's movies about this stuff, but you've got a Black widow woman who is just so predatorial. She'll do anything in bed. You can do anything with her, and she just praises you and worships you, makes you trust her, and then she takes you out. It really is like a Black widow. They kill their mate, right? So even if you're a badass in your life, very powerful, very successful, you still have to be careful, because I think that means you're a target. Black widows are always looking for their next target. Who do I want to take down? Who do I want to get to, no, I want to get in his world and take his shit, right? So I see a lot of second marriages, third marriages where women are predatorial like this, and men get ruined. So it's probably the one thing, the one person men can't fight is someone like this, because their strength is always used against them. Whether they get police called on them, or criminal, activities. He's hurting me, and so he gets arrested. He's got a criminal restraining order, whatever. And then these women just sit there and sneer and mock. But if the man reacts, everything he says and does will be used against him. And she'll win in court because she's a good water worker. So these are very diabolical, predatory women. They're usually beautiful. They're usually so innocent, little sweet things. You would never suspect them of being capable of such monstrous activities, but they are monsters. So if this is something you're dealing with and you are, you're struggling, you're watching someone go through this, you should call me. There's some strategizing we can do to maybe kind of help the situation, but it really is somebody to avoid. Women get Black Widow too. It isn't just men. But you really want to understand the nature of these kind of women. They are predators. Hey, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. And if you want to get a hold of me, get on my website at healwithkimile.com. That's HEAL with KIMILE.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.